Hello, beautiful people. My name's Amanda, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the elements, the elemental spirits, and how you can harness this beautiful energy within yourself. So we have the five elements really. So it's not very clear on what that fifth element is, but some people say that the fifth element is love or prana or spirit, but it all feels very similar to me. Love, prana, spirit, the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it. So a lot of people say the fifth element is that. So the four elements, earth, air, fire, water, then the fifth one, spirit. So I'm going to be talking to you today about the four elements and a little bit of storytelling. So each element is connected to a deity or a genie. So you're going to hear me using these words throughout the video today. So a deity is a god or a goddess figure, an archetype of a certain energy, and a genie is a mythological creature. So for me, I feel like using either deity or genie feels pretty accurate when I'm working with the energies of these four elementals. Elementals are, I mean, you may even see elementals in this video as well, because I do a lot of work with the elemental spirits. So sometimes you may see fairies flying by, or yeah, you might just get this beautiful sense when you're watching this video. You may even feel the energies of these elemental spirits coming through, because you are an elemental spirit as well. You have come from an elemental spirit. So I'm going to start by kind of talking a little bit about the stories about elemental spirits. So we have four elementals that I'm going to be talking about today. We've got the element of air, which is connected to the Fae, the fairies. We have the element of water, which is connected to the mermaid spirits. We have the element of fire, which is connected to the dragons. And we have the element of earth, which is connected to the gnomes. And these four elements actually they started at the beginning of time. So before the earth was even created, these elemental spirits, these deities, these genies were birthed from God, from the light, from source. And that's where you have been birthed from as well. So these beautiful elemental spirits are part of this earth. And I feel that they are they are they are mainly earth beings, but they have come from other dimensions and other planets as well. So from the beginning, before this earth was even created, these beautiful elements were birthed from source. And so the fairies started to work with the gnomes. So the gnomes are connected to the minerals, to the earth. And the gnomes would work on the soil and underneath in connecting to the core of the earth. So I think there's a movie that's called like Traveling Through the Earth or something like that. That's what the gnomes were doing. They were working and creating a beautiful foundation for the earth. So while the gnomes were doing that, the fairies were actually coming in from other dimensions on other planets and working to help shift the seeds on the earth and to help move the trees and to help the trees and all of the life on the earth to shift and evolve. And that beautiful element of air is what is looking after the earth and the gnomes as well. And then when the water was birthed from source, the elemental of water, the beautiful water mermaids came in, and they were also from other planets as well. So mermaids are from Mintaka, and some were birthed on the earth and created from the earth, but some had come from other higher dimensional planets as well to create beautiful, clear, cleansing, flowing water. So the mermaids started working with the gnomes and the fairies. And then from there were the dragons. So the dragons are also from other planets, and they work with the element of fire. So the dragon spirits have been really mentioned in so many old texts and mythology and folklore, along with the other elementals as well. But dragons have been mentioned a little bit more over in China as well. So dragon energy over there is really strong, and those beautiful stories have been passed down through generations and generations. And so the energy of the dragon spirit has, yes, still been continued. It's being continued constantly. So then from there, we came as humans. So from ancient Lemuria and then into Atlantis, we became like a physical. The humans started to develop into physical form. When ancient Lemuria was around, it was more light. It was very oh, how can I say it? It was just light. It was basically just air. So you couldn't physically touch anything. It was more of an energy. It was telepathy. It was not touching anything physical. It was just like air. So when ancient Atlantis developed in the next age, because there's cycles within cycles, right? So the next cycle was ancient Atlantis, which was the birth of humans. So we came from the source, just like we came from the elements as well. So they are our brothers and sisters. They are part of us. We are made up of these beautiful elements, the four elements: earth, air, fire, and water. These beautiful elements hold so much magic within our portals, within our body, within our chakra system as well. And we have lost this deep connection with the elements. So it's really important for us to remember, because what's happening at the moment is that I'm in Queensland in Australia, and I don't know what it's like where you are in the world. I would love to hear from you, but it is raining nonstop. The elemental spirits are feeling really uneasy. Mother Nature, the earth, is just really in disharmony, because we're in disharmony. Remember, we are the elements. So when we are feeling like we are disconnected and there's a disharmony on the planet as a collective, guess what? Everything else is as well. Of course, they're doing other things to manipulate the weather, the big guys at the top. But I'm talking about the universal laws of nature here as well. And it is really, yeah, not looking so good on the earth. We've never experienced catastrophic weather like this. And I truly believe it's because the elements are really feeling sad, and like there's this disharmony as well. So I'm going to go through each element with you today, and we're going to tune into the energy of each elemental spirit, each deity, each genie. And I did have some questions, which I'll go through a little bit later. Some of you had some questions that you would like answered when working with these beautiful elemental spirits. And yeah, so let's begin. So I've got these beautiful myths here. These labels aren't the labels that I'm going to be using for my elemental myths, but this beautiful high frequency meditation mist really helps me get into the realms of the elementals. So I'm going to be using these sprays, and they're going to be for sale very soon when I am launching these new products in the next few weeks. So I'm going to be working first with the elemental of the gnome. So connecting to the earth and connecting to the elements, and connecting to the direction of the north. So I'm just going to start by grounding my energy. And connecting to the beautiful elemental of the gnome. So when I'm channeling, my eyes start to kind of wander off. That's how I kind of, connect to the energy. So just don't mind me. I'm doing that. Okay. So the gnomes have been mentioned in a lot of old folklore in England, Ireland, Scotland. The ancestors of those regions, the Celts and the Druids, still hold this beautiful energy of the gnomes and the leprechauns. It's also an energy that's been spread all over the whole world, but it seems like the Celtics over in those lands have really held on to the memories of the gnomes. The gnomes aren't pretty looking beings at all. They're quite rugged, and they are little, so they kind of remind me of the that Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Yeah, they remind me of that kind of energy, like they're helping Snow White. So they're very masculine, and they hold this beautiful grounding frame to hold the other elements. So the gnomes are that grounded masculine energy that's so earthly. They help us remember our connection and our roots. And when I'm talking about roots, I'm talking about the stories, the lineage, our ancestors. So when you're planting your feet, because don't forget your feet have beautiful magnetic energy. So your feet hold chakras as well. So when you're putting those magnets, those chakras onto the earth, you are remembering the elemental spirit of the gnome, which is your ancestors who have walked before you, who have walked on this earth before you. So you're starting to remember those stories in other dimensions. So not just in this 3D, but you're going to start to remember the stories from your ancestors and remembering that time and space doesn't exist. So when you're connecting with the spirits of the gnomes, it's like it is that bridge of almost like deja vu, like timelines are merging and you start to become one with the time of your ancestors. So the gnomes really help us remember our roots. They also help us ground. They help us really anchor all of the wisdom, all of the teachings, all of the downloads. They help us anchor all of the wisdom into the physical vessel, because so many of us are living all in these upper chakras or operating only from the lower, but they really help us bring it all down and to create a beautiful, like doing this because they're like stirring this beautiful medicine, and helping you align all of the energy portals. They help you align all of that. If your root chakra is out of balance, then everything else is out of balance. You're not able to anchor and ground. So this beautiful elemental spirit of the gnome really helps us anchor and ground everything. So they used to wear these tiny little hats, like pointed hats, which would help them move in between the different layers of minerals and earth and stones and rocks within the earth. So they would travel. They would travel through time as well, through the layers of the earth. And they would, yeah, go through all different parts of the world. So they wouldn't just stay within those countries, but they would travel and they would communicate through telepathy to the other gnomes as well on the earth. They are like tricksters as well. They're quite funny, and they've got this beautiful grandfather nurturing energy as well. Even though they're masculine, it just feels safe. It feels so safe, warm, and it feels a bit fun, like they're a bit funny. Yeah, gnomes. So there are different types of gnomes in different countries. The ones I'm really connected with are the Celtic gnomes, and there is gnomes here in Australia as well, different types. But the ones in the Celtic lands, they are more visible. So that's why the stories have been shared and continued in those lands, because the veils are so thin there that the people can almost feel it, touch it, hear them. Like, yeah, all of their senses are open in those lands because of, I guess, because it's a thinner place. The veils are thin there. It is a very magical place. There is a lot of energy portals, ley lines there. Um, and there are definitely different places within the earth where there are blockages where the gnomes don't go. So I'm visualizing big cities. It's really hard for the gnomes to travel through those portals. They're too dense, too heavy for them to travel through those lands. Yeah, and the people are really disconnected from the gnomes. They're actually more ungrounded in those. Yeah, they're more ungrounded in those areas because there is no land. It's just all concrete. So the energy from the earth is not able to radiate up. Um, there's not as many ley lines in those areas where those big cities are as well. So they're saying to connect, yeah, so to connect with gnome energy and to ground your energy, I recommend leaving the city if you can, going out and connecting to the earth and just feeling the energy of the earth as well, and how it changes from, it literally changes from going on in the car on a drive. You'll notice the energy shift as you're leaving the city. It just starts to feel really different. So it's going to help you connect and ground working with the gnomes. Mm, okay. The gnomes, they're done. They're just done. They just don't want to talk anymore. They're really funny. Okay. The next one is I'm going to work with, okay, I'm going to work with the Fae. My favorite elemental spirit. These beautiful beings are so funny. They can be very cheeky. They are really childlike. They were also communicating with other fairies on other planets as well, and they love dancing. They love expression. They love moving. So they don't like to sit still. So they are connected to the heart chakra. Just like the gnomes were connected to the root chakra, the fairies are connected to the heart, and they have this beautiful green ray of energy that just radiates. And the element of the air connected to the heart is also connected to your intuition. So and it just radiates. Like when you come in contact with a fairy, it's like an energy, a force. It's like you're you're connected so deeply to the realms of magic and mystery. And they are really, let me just feel into this a bit more. The element of air, they help the seeds turn over, they help the earth with the growth because they're connected to the fertility fairies. So they're connected to the fertility of the earth, which is also connected to Beltane, connected to spring, connected to our inner maiden, so our inner child. So the fairies really help us embrace this young, playful part of ourselves that lives within us, because remembering that we are connected to these elements. We are a fairy, we are a mermaid, we are a gnome, we are a dragon. So they help us remember this playful side. Connecting with the fairies really helps the earth grow. So harvest time, you can work with the fairies to help with growth of flowers, growth of fruit. They work really well with the gnomes. So that's why you'll see in a lot of old stories fairies and gnomes working together, and elves as well, and nymphs. There are different types of fairies as well. There are actually fairies that hold elements of the four elements. So you've got fire fairies, you've got water fairies, you've got earth fairies. So um, I connect a lot with the earth fairies. So they are the green, beautiful fairies that are flying within nature. So they're saying that a way to work with them is through movement, play, dance, and fun, and remembering that inner child, that inner spring. A really good time to work with them is just before ovulation. So, like if you're a woman ovulating, a good time to work with them is just before that. Um, and they they help us also remember the connection to our ancestors, but more of a, not our actual ancestors, it's more of the soul ancestors. So connecting to, different realms, and your soul, like connecting, helping you remember who you truly are. So again, fairies have been really well spoken of in the Celtic regions, England, Ireland, Scotland. They still hold a beautiful energy there. I've actually got this book here called The Guide to the Celtic Fair Folk, which is a beautiful book. It actually mentions in here that their names. So fairies have been called all different things. I can't remember where it is, but it's mentioned in here somewhere that they are called the Little Family, the Fair Folk, the Fae. They go by many different names. They don't like to be called fairies, but I'm calling them fairies for you today because not many people understand what I say when I'm talking about the Fae. Yeah, so fairies, they love honey, they like eating flowers. They're actually one of the elementals that do eat. Some of the others don't. So yeah, fairies they like to live around honey and flowers, especially dandelions. They love dandelions because of that really lightness. It's so light when you're playing with the dandelions. Yeah, fairies live within the portals of trees. So where those tree trunks are, you'll see like the roots of the tree exposed. There is portals in between the trees where the fairies can go in and out. So that's where they live. There's some beautiful portals on our land here on this earth, and some of us aren't aware, but definitely over bridges, fairies live there, under bridges with trolls. I actually have never connected with trolls, but like who knows, I might one day soon. But fairies are definitely around bridges. They're also around the trees. And yeah, they like to hang out around portals. They love mirrors in the garden. They love looking at themselves and just like adorning themselves. They love mirrors. So if you want to attract more fairies in your garden, put some mirrors in the garden. They love crystals as well, hanging up crystals around the garden. And they really help you. They help work with the energy of the land. So if you're going to be cutting down a tree, or if you're going to be planting new things in the garden, ask the fairies first. They really love to be appreciated and acknowledged. There is some old stories about fairies and these old tales of them making farmers sick and destroying crops, and yeah, like farmers going missing and all of this kind of stuff. There is actually real stories about this, where the fairies have become really mischievous and angry and kind of like evil, I guess, because they have been disrespected by the farmers and they haven't acknowledged the presence of the fairies. So always ask the fairies first before picking flowers as well, because flowers, they're meant to stay on the trees. But if you want to work with the elemental of a particular flower, ask the fairies first, because they want to help you too. Most of the time they say yes, but just ask them, acknowledge them, and they will be really happy. They want us to connect a little bit more to the earth and help us remember grandfather energy as well. They're actually saying that grandfather has been forgotten because he's not as alluring as the other elementals, but they're saying please connect to our grandfather. Mm. Grandfather being fire as well, which I'll get to next. Thank you, fairies. Okay. Oh, element of fire connected to the genie of the dragon. Oh, so much passion, like igniting that light. It's the solar plexus, it's the confidence, it's go, go, go. It is masculine as well. Yeah, it's a masculine energy. It's a masculine energy that actually helps support the waters, the mermaids, the feminine. So just like the gnomes and the fairies work together, the dragons and the mermaids work together. When they all work together, but the dragons and the mermaids have a deeper connection. It's like a longer connection, because they were together for a longer period of time. Because they came from the same place. So if you think about it, dragons have scales, mermaids have scales. They're actually like brother and sister. Yeah, and they're actually showing me that the teeth on the mermaids are actually similar to the teeth of the dragons as well. So yeah, they're very, very protective of the feminine. Um, and if you think about it, again, I keep bringing everything back to old Disney movies. But if you think about it, in all of the old movies, you've got a princess locked away in a tower and a dragon protecting her, flying around and protecting her. So that makes sense. Also, there's dragon energy around our womb, connected to the womb, the waters of our womb. So the dragon's circulating and moving around there, protecting the baby, protecting new life. The dragon spirits protect us. They can fly under the earth and they fly up above the house. They fly above the trees and they fly within the clouds. So you may even see dragons if you look up at the sky. Not many people do these days. Look up at the sky. Apart from seeing chemtrails, you'll see dragons as well. Yeah, they're very serious beings. They're not as fun as fairies because they're ancient. They're old. Yeah, and they're not from here. They're not from Earth. They have come from other places. Yeah, so they're really wise. Dragons are used to burn everything to the ground. It's connected to the Tower card in the tarot. It's like let everything burn, destroy. It's almost like a destruction to create new life and to purify. It's almost like in the pits of hell where all of the flames are to purify our souls. That's what it's for. It's to purify and to cleanse, to create new life. So also I had a friend that told me not long ago, she said that it's interesting, like when you see a bushfire and everything just burns to the ground, and then slowly you'll start seeing all of this new growth and it just feels so new and it feels so cleansed. It's that kind of energy. Dragons do that. They destroy everything, burn it to purify it. And there's many different types of dragons. Again, in Chinese mythology, I don't know how many dragons there are. I think there's like maybe 50 different types of dragons, and they're connected to the directions as well. We're in the year of the dragon. In Chinese mythology, they are holding on to those old stories, just like the Celtics do with the fairies. But the Chinese really hold on to the dragon energy because it's almost like the dragons live, they do live over there. That's where they are. Um, I feel like, what is it? Dragons aren't happy. They're not happy because of all of the stuff that they're spraying in the clouds. They live within caves and on the tops of hills. They love caves, but they're really not happy either. They're like, they're working with the elemental of the water at the moment here, because they know that there's so much that needs to be purified. They say that the water is what destroyed the last cycle, and they're saying that fire is going to destroy the next cycle. The old tales of Noah's Ark and the water will be like the fire. And I don't know what that means exactly. I don't know if I actually want to say it on here either. But you may get what I'm saying. You may be able to feel telepathically what I'm saying. They're not happy. I mean, none of the elementals are happy, but the dragon's just really protective. The dragons are really protective of the earth as well. So the earth is also feminine. Gaia, Sophia, Mother Gaia, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, all of those beautiful mothering energies is connected to our earth. So the dragons are like really protective of that. Um, and they're like, yeah, igniting that fire within us. Not an angry fire, but they're like helping us become more passionate about making change and speaking up and being more confident and really speaking our truth. That's all I have to say. They're done. Okay. They are, yeah, real serious, beautiful, wise, old, so magical. Just beautiful working with the dragon. All right, lucky last, the mermaids. Oh, there's many different types of mermaids. There's, yeah, there's sirens. There are water nymphs, there's mermaids. Mermaids, different types. There's ones that can look quite unsexy, and they've actually got a sexy energy. So all mermaids have sexy energy. They're sexual beings. But there's some that actually look not as beautiful, but they're still alluring. They use their voice to allure the men in. They lure the men from the boats into the waters. They lure them to their deaths. Now, there is a story that I want to talk about. I'm going to tell you a little story. Yeah, so there's this story about the Gloucester men in America, and I found this really fascinating after watching the movie A Perfect Storm. So I wrote this down. From the years 1866 to 1890, over 2,450 men have never been seen again. They went out to sea and they were never to be seen again. 2,450 men from the year 1866 to 1890. Mermaids. Mermaids did it. I just know. I just know in my body. When I heard those statistics there, and I just thought, oh my God, like I had full body goosebumps. I thought of all of the wives of the Gloucester men, and I thought, I think that they know. I think that they know that they were mermaids. And I don't know if it was because they were disrespecting the waters, and killing a lot of fish without gratitude. Maybe it was just all ego. I'm not sure. But it may have been a disrespect to the water and the beautiful elemental spirits of the waters as well. So I just thought those stats were really interesting. They're very, very sexual beings connected to our sacral chakra, our womb. The water element is, yeah, really cleansing and purifying, and the mermaids really help us remember and harness this energy that we have within us, because we can cleanse and purify ourselves. But they're also really, I wouldn't say angry, they're more sad. They're sad. And they do this alluring thing with the men because of their sadness, and they cry. So when you might even go out to the ocean, sometimes you may hear the mermaids wailing and crying. They're in disharmony. We are. Women in particular have a lot of issues with our wombs. There's a huge epidemic of women having all of these issues with fertility and being disconnected from our womb. So, yeah, the mermaids are not happy, they're sad, just like a lot of women who are having issues with their own waters as well. So, yeah, I've had some wild dreams about mermaids. Mermaids are from the planet Mintaka, and they some of them aren't. I mean, there's dark and light in everything, right? There's a lot of polarity, but I have done a full video on mermaids. If you want to learn more about that, you can go back and watch my channeling to the mermaids video. They are really alluring. They have this incredible sexual energy. A lot of the mermaids actually work with the serpent. So the serpent comes out through their throat chakra, and they communicate with the serpent. They are deeply connected to telepathy, so they don't need to speak. They It's just an energy. It's just an energy. They come from a beautiful world where everything is air, and there's nothing physical to touch. It's just an energy. So yeah, they're feeling like this dense energy at the moment. And they're actually like they're so far away from the shores because they can feel the energy of the land, and the land is really in disharmony. So they're trying to get away from the land, and they're not usually around where the big cities are, and they're further away into the depths of the ocean. I just hear them crying. I hear them wailing. I hear them, yeah, working with the whales and the dolphins, and yeah, I just see them. I just see them really sad. The mermaids, you just need to give love and gratitude to them for cleansing and purifying our own waters as well. So a way you can connect with the mermaids is go and just put your feet in some water. Doesn't have to be the ocean. It can be a river. It can be a lake. It can be a pond. I do really like clean water, so you're not going to find them in a swamp, although there are some, but they're not of the light, those ones. But they're in lakes, and they're in ponds, and also in the ocean. So there's different types of mermaids. There is an element of air mermaids. So there are mermaids that have wings as well, and they can fly above the waters and go underneath. So there are mermaids that have wings. They're actually called sirens. And if you look that up, I might even try and put a picture here of a siren that was mentioned like hundreds of years ago, could even be thousands of years ago, where people were talking about the sirens, and they had they had wings. So they didn't just have a tail; they would shape shift as well. So they would go on the land. They would shape shift into different things to, yeah, kind of work and be in harmony, be in sync with the other elementals as well. Yeah. So that's that's that. That's the four elements. I want to talk about the fifth element, which, yeah, I'll probably dive deeper into that at another time. The fifth element being the representation of the unicorn, so connected to the element of love, the element of spirit and life force energy, um, the Holy Spirit. So, yeah, the beautiful elemental of the unicorn, I can talk about that another time. But I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear if this resonated with you. And if you have any questions, please reach out. I absolutely love talking about the elemental spirits. So, yeah, please reach out. I will be launching my beautiful products very soon, my 4 products connected to earth, air, fire, and water, which will really help you deepen your connection to these beautiful elemental mystical beings.